You open the fridge, you stand there. The light hits your face, cold air spills onto your feet, and you scan every shelf like the answer is going to appear if you just look hard enough. Nothing has changed since you checked 10 minutes ago. But the real answer for why you're standing there is far stranger than hunger. You're not looking for food, you're hunting. Your body doesn't know the difference between a refrigerator and a savanna. It never learned to. For nearly the entire span of human existence, finding food wasn't a decision you made once a day. It was a constant, moment-to-moment search, and your brain built an entire behavioral system just to run it. Anthropologist Eric Alden Smith spent decades studying foraging societies, groups whose survival depended on finding calories efficiently in unpredictable environments. He found that human foragers don't search randomly. They follow patterns, scan a patch, assess it, decide whether to keep searching there or move on. That decision-making loop is ancient, and it's remarkably specific. Stay or leave. Look closer or move away. It's the exact loop running in your head right now when you're standing in front of an open fridge for the 4th time today. Think about what your eyes actually do in there. You don't read labels like you're shopping. You scan. Top shelf, middle shelf, door compartments, back corners. Your eyes move in the same rapid, sweeping pattern your ancestors used scanning a tree line for movement or a berry patch for ripeness. Researchers who study visual search behavior call this a scanning pattern, and it shows up almost identically whether someone is looking for prey, looking for threats, or looking for a snack. Different targets, same wiring. But here's where it gets strange. You already know what's in there. You checked 20 minutes ago. Nothing has changed. So why do you keep opening the door? Because your ancient search system isn't actually asking what food exists. It's asking, has anything changed? That's a survival question, not a hunger question. In an unpredictable environment, conditions shift. A predator moves, fruit ripens, water dries up. Checking again wasn't wasted effort for your ancestors. It was often the difference between finding an opportunity and missing one. Your fridge never changes between checks. But your brain doesn't know that. It just knows the loop isn't finished yet. This is where choice becomes the real problem, and it's not the problem you think it is. Psychologist Sheena Iyengar ran a now famous study where she set up a tasting table with jam. Sometimes it offered 24 flavors, sometimes just 6. More people stopped to look at the large selection, but shoppers were far more likely to actually buy something when the choices were fewer. More options drew people in, and then quietly overwhelmed them into doing nothing at all. That's what happens when you stand in front of a stocked fridge and somehow decide there's nothing to eat. There might be 7 different things in there, but your brain isn't built to instantly rank 7 options against a hunger level, a mood, a time constraint, and a taste preference all at once. So instead of choosing, you freeze. You close the door without taking anything. Sometimes you open it again 90 seconds later, hoping the choice will feel easier the second time. It won't, because the paralysis was never really about the food. Evolutionary psychologists Leda Cosmids and John Tooby have spent their careers arguing that the human mind isn't one general-purpose thinking machine. It's a collection of specialized systems, each built by evolution to solve a specific ancestral problem. Foraging decisions get their own circuitry. Threat detection gets its own circuitry. Social judgment gets its own. And crucially, none of these systems know they're being used for something other than their original job. Your food search system was built for scarcity. It was built for patches of berries that might run out, animals that might escape, conditions that changed hour to hour. It was never built for a humming metal box that restocks itself every few days with more choices than a Pleistocene forager would see in a month. So when you feel that specific, restless urge to check the fridge again, even though you're not really hungry, you're not malfunctioning. You're running old software on an environment it was never designed for. There's another layer to this, and it's the part that explains why the fridge specifically pulls you in more than, say, a pantry shelf, cold, bright light, a sealed compartment, something slightly hidden until the door opens. Your ancestors' most valuable finds were often exactly like this, protected, enclosed, revealed only through effort. A hive tucked inside a hollow tree, a den, a cache. The click of the fridge door and the small rush of cold air isn't a random design quirk of kitchen appliances. It mimics almost precisely the sensory payoff of opening something that was concealed. Your brain rewards that motion a little, every single time, whether or not there's anything worth finding inside. That's why you can walk into the kitchen already knowing exactly what's in the fridge and still feel a small pull to check. Not because you're hungry, because opening it delivers a tiny reward completion. Now here's the part that should make you feel a little better instead of a little insane. This behavior isn't a personal failure of discipline. It's not evidence that something is wrong with your relationship to food. It's a leftover survival algorithm, still running exactly as designed, just aimed at the wrong target. Your ancestors who checked, scanned, and rechecked their environment obsessively were the ones who noticed the ripening fruit a day earlier than everyone else, or spotted the predator before it got too close. The ones who didn't check as often didn't always get a second chance. You inherited their vigilance. You just inherited it into a kitchen instead of a forest. So the next time you catch yourself standing in front of an open fridge, staring at the same shelf you stared at 10 minutes ago, you don't have to feel embarrassed by it. You're not weak-willed. You're not out of control. You're running a search algorithm that kept an entire species alive for hundreds of thousands of years, and it's just a little confused about where it ended up. You open the fridge, you stand there. The light hits your face, cold air spills onto your feet. And for the first time, maybe you recognize it for what it actually is. Not hunger. A hunt that never really ended.